So I want to talk to you about omegas. So recently in our interview, you really inspired me to get on the green smoothie train and to
Yes.
incorporate more omegas into my diet, specifically more omega-3s. And I use the organic flax oil. And
Mhm.
I've never felt better. I really feel a difference in my mental clarity, my brain, my happiness, everything. And I think I wasn't as conscious of that before, being a 6-year raw vegan. And I realized looking back over the years, my ratio of omega-6s was drastically higher at times. And I saw an interview that the Vegetable Police did. I don't know if you know him, Casey. He's a YouTuber. He's awesome. He flip-flops his diet a lot, but he's just so funny and amazing that he keeps his following. He's not one of these people where people turn on him if he leaves veganism. He saw our interview and he is on your protocol. And he did
Cool.
a very interesting video that I saw talking about the ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s and how things like cashews and hemp seeds are super high in sixes and
Mhm.
maybe you have to watch out. So I wanted to ask you, as a raw vegan or somebody who eats clean, can it be dangerous for us if our omega-6s are really high? Like, there was a period of time where my dressings were, like, loaded with, like, a cup of cashews, cup of hemp seeds, like, and I'm, like, way high on the omega-6 train and way low on the 3s. So can that be dangerous?
Well, all right. This could be a 2-hour discussion, so I'm going to try to distill it, even with my enthusiasm. Let's try to distill it down. The major issue with people having ratios of omega-6 to omega-3 that are too high is with people eating the standard Western diet, right? So theoretically, we should have a range of omega-6 and omega-3 in our blood of somewhere between 9 to 1 to 1 to 1, depending on what studies you read. 9 to 1 to 1 to 1, 6 to 3. So we're supposed to have more 6 than 3, but in a 9 to 1 or so ratio, right?
Okay.
When they were studying this and looking at chronic disease, and this was, I remember watching a talk on this when I was a resident, so, back in the day, that they found that the average American at the time had a ratio of about 40 to 1, 6 to 3. Now, why is that? Because omega-3s and omega-6s, first of all, can only be gotten into our bodies by eating them. We don't produce them in our body. Unlike things like omega-9. Don't take an omega-9 supplement. You make them. You don't need to take them, right? But omega-6 and omega-3, you have to consume. Now, the sources of omega-3, like pure sources of omega-3, are actually fairly limited. It's in a lot of things, but in low doses. Omega-6 is in more things at higher doses. And when you're eating animal products and oils, they're in mega high doses. So any
Mhm.
kind of meat, even the free range kind that has a little more three in it than the factory farmed suffering, well they're both suffering, but more suffering kind, right? That they're still high in omega-6. So since people's diets have become so animal based and so processed and with tons of oils, the omega-6 has gotten out of control. And it's not like they're eating lots of omega-3 primary sources like flax and chia seeds, right? So to counterbalance. So I've had people do these tests, and I don't recommend the tests because they don't change what we do, but I've had people take this test who are 200 to 1, 6 to 3. Now, knowing this information, right? Why does it matter? Your omega-3 fatty acids do a lot for you. One, they are important for your neurons in your brain. They should be the primary fat in your neurons in your brain. If you don't have enough omega-3s, your body will just substitute omega-6, but then the functioning is not correct, right? You don't get the
Mm.
right function. It's like using the wrong Lego piece. It might fit, but it doesn't look right anymore. It's not doing things the way it should, right? Number two, it is important for your metabolism. So omega-3 fatty acids live in the phospholipid membranes of our cells, and they actually are what make communication optimal. So you're running on the treadmill, trying to get your cardio in, and then you send a signal to your cell, release fat, but the cell doesn't have enough omega-3, which makes the cell more rigid. It doesn't receive the signal, and it bounces off, and you did all that cardio and you didn't lose the fat because your body's not signaling properly, which affects your metabolism, right? So your body's ability to receive signals and release toxins all are really supposed to be mediated by the omega-3s. If you're not having omega-3s, you'll substitute omega-6s, which are abundant for most people, but that makes a more rigid cell that doesn't receive signal. So
Mm.
omega-3s create a fast metabolism. And then the other thing that's really important for omega-3s is they create your anti-inflammatory immune system, the immune system that brings you down and back to baseline, low inflammation. So if you're starved for omega-3s, you're going to have more mood disorders. You're going to have more brain fog, poor thinking. You're going to have a slower metabolism. you're going to have more illnesses, right? And you're going to have a lack of ability to fight infections, things like that. Big problem. Now, what does omega-6 do? One of the primary things omega-6 do is it creates your inflammatory immune system, which is very important. Your inflammatory immune system is what responds to threats like a virus or a bacteria or an injury. But after that inflammatory immune system responds to a threat, the anti-inflammatory immune system should bring us back to baseline. If you can't, you're just going to create inflammation like crazy, but not be able to bring it down. And that's what chronic disease is. So this is why my protocol is so different than the traditional plant-based diets, which really just address one of the problems, which is animal products make you sick, right? Plants can help you get healthy, but they don't really look at the inflammatory response, which is where I live, right? That's my specialty, is understanding how nutrition affects cellular function and immune function. And that's why it's so specific. So to get to your question, there are plant foods that are high in omega-6 too, but not to the level of animal products. So nuts and seeds, they do have higher 6:3 ratios, but in a more safe range, right? I like cashews. I don't eat the hemp seeds, but I like cashews. I like sesame and stuff like that. Those are super high in omega-6 compared to omega-3, but in a safer range. So most nuts and seeds are actually within the range we would hope, which is between 9 to 1 or so. So if you are healthy and you eat nuts and seeds, shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But for people who are sick trying to get healthy, I often will limit their nut and seed intake because my goal is to build up omega-3s as fast as possible. We got to get the inflammation down. So all animal products are out, the oils are out, except for things like flax oil, because that's a high dose omega-3. And then we start hyper nourishing using high doses of omega-3 because I'm trying to correct that ratio and correct their health as quickly as possible. So for me, I don't look at those numbers anymore because I'm a high raw plant-based person. I have my flax, chia, flax oil, whatever I'm using at the time in my smoothies, right? And then if I feel like having nuts and seeds, nut dressings, I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
So, and if you go back to nature, and I think it's important to understand this too, like, why should we even worry about this, right? Because I often joke around when people ask about like macros and all this stuff. I'm like, what animal in nature has to count macros or calories to figure out what to eat? It's ridiculous. Like humans have forgotten how to eat.
True.
Like
it's embarrassing for us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We know what every other species is supposed to eat. And for humans, we don't know. So people think they're carnivores. People think, like, come on. Right. So, no, you must count these numbers to know this. None of this makes sense. Right. Every other animal just eats and then they're fine. They don't have any diseases. Right. The only people who are only animals with chronic disease on this planet are humans and animals that humans feed.
Yeah.
You see a fat cat with diabetes, 100% it's a human feeding them. Right. That's just how it is. Right. Anyway, sidebar. So if we were eating the way nature intended, or for religious people, even if you Garden of Eden, whichever one you prefer, right? If we were out in nature eating things as nature provided them, we would be raw and we would be eating fruits and vegetables and leaves, mostly leaves, because there's more of them than anything else. And if you hit a nut tree, whoa, that's exciting. I watched a video once of chimpanzees who found like a grove of nuts. And they were just going to town, like with rocks and just foraging up. So, but that's what we'd be doing out there. Now, most leaves actually have some omega-3 in them. Wow. And so if we're eating no animal products or very rare, and we were eating mostly leafy greens and fruits and vegetables, we would have the right ratio of omega-3 naturally. And it's hard to find nut fields. So we would eat them here and there, but we would have a very naturally normal level. The only reason this is a subject of conversation is because we have so brutalized our nutrition and created these massive imbalances with high omega-6 that now we do have to think about it and correct it. So I would say for someone like you, if you're already healthy, you're getting your omega-3s every day in your smoothie, go ahead, enjoy your nuts, you're going to stay healthy. But people who are sick, we do have to consider this until they're healthy. And I always tell people, once you're healthy 6 months or more, don't look at your ratios anymore. Have your smoothies, eat your nuts. As long as you're not eating inflammatory stuff, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And if you were me, how many tablespoons of the flax would you do a day and the chia?
Well, there's really, you can do what you like, really. I mean, for health maintenance, a handful of flax or chia a day is usually fine for folks once they've already hyper-nourished and corrected it. Yeah. But there's no downside to having more, or a couple of tablespoons of flax oil. But if you're like, wow, I have actually gone without like thinking about omega-3s all this time and I'd like to correct it, then have a few tablespoons a day. There's no downside. It increases metabolic rate. You're going to basically fill in those omega-3s in all the places your body has needed them. So it's going to replace the omega-6s where they shouldn't be in your cells, in your neurons, and of course in your immune system. So it's not like there's a downside, like I'm healthy and I had too much flax oil. No problem.
Incredible. And I do notice the mood is better because I have been neglecting it, right? I have been taking supplements that do have a little bit in it, but I don't think a ton. And I have been neglecting it. So I have been hyper nourishing thanks to you. And like you were saying, I think it does play a big impact. It has for me and others on the mood. And I do take an all-in-one supplement. And what's interesting, I talked to him, the owner of the company, and he said when his wife was pregnant and nursing, they tested her and she was actually, even though she was supplementing, she was low in the omegas. And then they started doing like a hyper nourishing top like supplement for her. And she noticed a big difference on her moods and her depression gone when she increased the omega-3s. And I think
it raises IQ. If women are eating high amounts of omega-3s when they're pregnant, the studies show that it increases IQ in your baby.
Yeah, fascinating. Fascinating.
That's why my kids are so much smarter than me.
Yeah. Your kids are I saw their book on Amazon. I'm just like, wow, your kids blow me away. And you've raised them vegan with supplements, right? With B12 and D. So B12 and D, right? Is that what you give them?
Yeah. And I mean, human creatures who have not eaten meat, who have been born into us, they were completely raw their first year of life. And then I started incorporating other cooked foods. They drink smoothies every day that they've been drinking since their bottles. And they are brilliant, amazing kids. Yeah, my son Solomon, did you see his video? He's the district champion in speed cubing right now.
Wow.
So yeah, I put a video up because those fingers are just, they're so fast. So their minds are brilliant. They're talented in so many different ways. And it's just a beautiful thing to see what's possible. What's also interesting to me, my husband and I, growing up as kids, chronic ear infections all the time, just constant. I actually had to get tubes in my ears. Our kids have never had an ear infection. They stopped getting colds at 2 years old.
Wow.
Like they got their first colds, like getting exposed to other kids, and then it just stopped.
Amazing.
And it's just incredible to see what's possible for children versus what I was taught, which is that children get usually about 2 colds per season and flus and all these other things. They don't. I mean, they're just so vibrant and healthy and energetic. And it's like, this is what they're supposed to be, So that's been a great opportunity because I want them never to be sick the way I was.
No, I know what you mean. Same with my kids. And they're so lucky to have you as a mom, you know so much. And I'm wondering with the omega-3s, I think a lot of vegans are starving for omega-3s. I really do think. I know I was. I mean, maybe not a lot, but some for sure. And do you think that's why when a lot of them maybe decide because they don't feel good, maybe they feel brain fog and mentally like they're not functioning properly, and a lot of them will try a piece of fish and then be like, bam, like I felt like my brain reset. Do you think part of that might be because they were just starving for the omega-3s and it's so high in the fish?
Well, it might be, especially if it was raw fish, because omega-3s oxidize quickly when exposed to heat or air. So it might not be that. But I think, if people aren't feeling well, a lot of times they're going to blame their diet first when it's not always the case. Right. So that's one issue. And I see that all the time. I mean, in rapid recovery, so I do something called rapid recovery where people have to work with me every day. Right. So I have a group that's finishing up now and one starting in May 19th. So I'm working with people every day to make sure they're getting everything right. And also to make sure their whole mindset, lifestyle is all anti-inflammatory so they can get healthy, right? But I will see people who are symptom-free 4 or 5 days already. And then they'll get a symptom and go, is it something in my smoothie? And I'm like, no, stop blaming the smoothie. It's because you didn't get enough sleep last night. It's because of that stress that happened at work. Like there's so many different things that can cause people not to feel well. But for some reason, people always want to look at their diet first. And it's like, if something's been working for you and you've been getting healthy and feeling good, and then you suddenly have a bad day. Well, first of all, even healthy people have bad days.
Yeah.
Right? You slept wrong and you're like, oh, neck, and then you get a headache or something, but you're healthy, right? It's just things happen. We're a bag of cells, stuff happens. And 2, there's a lot of other reasons why people can have a problem, right? So yeah, it could be omega-3 deficiency. It could be that they were just not eating enough, right? So many reasons. But, I have seen one major issue I've seen in folks that are plant-based is that a lot of them got indoctrinated into this idea that all fats are bad. And so what happens is after a while, so they're eating no fat diets. If they eat an avocado, they have like 1 spoon or something sad like that. I don't know how you stop once you start an avocado.
Yeah.
But, they're eating almost no fats at all. And what happens is they notice that at some point they stop losing weight. A lot of folks, they're like, I don't know what to do. I'm eating only plant foods and I can't lose weight anymore. So again, that metabolism issue that I talked to you about, that they start to get brain fog or other issues like that. I've also had people who've been plant-based for decades who suddenly got autoimmune disease and we had to fix it. Ellen Jaffe-Jones is a famous vegan athlete. She's amazing. I love her. She wrote the foreword to my book, Goodbye Autoimmune Disease, because she'd been plant-based for decades. She was doing cooking demos for the other plant-based docs, and then she developed psoriasis recently.
Wow.
And within 2 weeks of doing pure hypernourishment with me, all the psoriasis lesions went away.
Incredible. Wow. That gave me goosebumps. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So I told her, listen, the fact that you've been plant-based all this time is probably why you got psoriasis so late. But without your omega-3s and your raw foods and without getting your hydration right, those genes still got triggered. But 2 weeks of hypernourishment, boom. And she's awesome. Like I walked into a room once where she was giving a lecture just to support her. And my face was on the screen huge. And I was like, what's this? And she was like, this woman saved my life. And there she is. And I'm like, okay, uncomfortable. I just wanted to see your dog. But, but it shows you that plant-based is good, but there's so many different ways to do it. And I think the omega-3s are lacking for people. People are afraid. And actually someone just posted this. We have a free Facebook group called Smoothie Shred. And we have thousands of people all over the world who are in there just supporting each other on our protocol. And one person posted, I'm so afraid to add omega-3s because I'm trying to lose weight. And I'm afraid that I'll get fat, because I've heard there's people who say that if you eat fat, you get fat, So all these people commented under her post saying like, no, I'm eating like a cup of flax seeds a day and I've lost 25 pounds and I couldn't lose that weight before I added it. And like all these people are posting about how their fat loss accelerated once they added in the flax oil or flax or chia seeds, not the opposite. And they're happy too, because they're like, and now I get to eat avocados and I can eat fats and I don't have to be afraid of it. So they're eating and they're losing fat, because nutrition and cellular function are they're not as simple as people try to make it. It's not like eat oxalates, get oxalate stones. It's not eat fat, get fat. There's so much more to it when you look at the science and cellular function. And so there's a lot of fear out there that doesn't need to be. And, so there was someone, I don't know if it's the guy you were talking about, but somebody I saw on YouTube made a video, me versus someone else. I don't like to talk badly about people. So it was me versus someone else, another plant-based doctor who says all fats are bad. Yeah. And then he was showing me and he goes, I don't know, she looks pretty thin. And she looks really thin. There must be something to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know. He's great. When he does comparisons, it's in a classy way. But yeah, he's doing great on your protocol, and he was having some skin problems. So he tries all kinds of different diets, and he does it he's very funny. And I know he was having some acne on his forehead and stuff, and he's on your protocol, high flax oil and stuff, and it's clearing up, and he's doing great. So that's awesome. Well, Casey, you have to come on the channel. So he's going to come on the channel.
Cool. Yeah, the smoothie glow. It's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say are what are your top 3 picks for omega-3 sources? I'm guessing flax, and for us, like plant-based vegan eaters,
flax seeds, chia seeds, cold pressed flaxseed oil.
Yeah.
And yes, it's an oil, but it's not one that's inflammatory, and it's super high dose. So there are folks who their guts, they just get too bloated when they're eating flax and chia seeds, because you're already getting tons of fiber from the vegetables, and then you're adding more fiber from the seed. And sometimes people just get too bloated or it feels too thick. Flaxseed oil is a great substitute. It's just more expensive. It's like $1.20 a pound for flax seeds, where it might be like 40, 50 bucks for that bottle, but you only need a few tablespoons a day versus like a half cup. So those are the top 3, and they are primary O3 sources. Sometimes people try to give me other ones like hemp has high omega-3, and I'm like, yeah, but way more omega-6. So remember that if you call something something, if you label something, make sure it's with what the primary aspect of it is. So if I label something omega-3, it means it's mostly omega-3, right? So that's why flax and flax oil, they're the easiest to find. They work the best. And that's really all you need to know, right? I mean, they're easy, they're manageable to find, they don't affect food flavor. And there's just like, because people will tell me, what about algae? Yeah, algae's great, but tell me how you're going to get a dose of algae oil that's high as the flaxseed oil without spending like, enormous amounts of money. Like one of those little dropper bottles, you'd have to drink one a day.
They're expensive. Yeah. No, this is great. You can get huge bottles for reasonable prices. And I like the taste. And
Yeah.
okay, so if we want to see the status of our omegas, if we have no idea, should we go to the doctor and say we want to do an omega-3, omega-6 test?
I
Like you
actually
said,
wouldn't.
it's not that accurate. Wow.
No, because again, now you're looking at how much omega-3 is in your bloodstream, but that doesn't tell you how much you've incorporated into your cells, which matters more. So I really look at recovery, not those numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't find them super accurate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been amazing. If there's anything else you think we've missed about omega-3s, then absolutely get it out and let everybody know where they can find you. Everybody go follow her. She's incredible. And I love her so much. We love her. We love you on this channel.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, everywhere I'm Goodbye Lupus. So at Goodbye Lupus on Facebook and Instagram, because that's my story, of course, is reversing lupus. And YouTube is, let's see, youtube.com/Brooke Goldner MD. But if you look up Goodbye Lupus or Brooke Goldner on YouTube, you will find me right away. I post things every day to support people with the right information and inspiration. And also now I do free Q&As for the public every Wednesday at 12:30 Pacific. So I just did one yesterday, and we get people, and I do it everywhere. It's on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, just for this reason, to help people wade through all the muck and find the real information, because I just want people to get healthy.
Yeah. And you are getting people healthy. I constantly see comments. Even when I was watching Casey's video, the vegetable please, I was commenting and I see so many comments. I'm on her protocol. I feel amazing. So you're really helping so many people, and you're such a light, so happy, so incredible. So we love having you on. Thanks for coming on. And to the viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a big thumbs up right now. Let me know in the comments how you get your omega-3s, and make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Love you guys.
Bye.